Welcome everyone. This is the fourth webinar of Community Talk series, a webinar series where I have guests, founders and co-founders of different communities all over LinkedIn and social media. And the goal of this series is for me to be educated on how the hell do you build a community and for you to learn the same. We've covered topics like PR and brand partnerships. We've covered topics how to manage your community across different channels. And today we have Tasleem talking about how to set up your first community. And
Thank you so much.
There are speculations that you've had clones and a lot of help and a lot of support in setting up LinkedIn's Creator Club, which you are a founder of. I would like to welcome you on stage and
Thank you.
tell us a bit about yourself and the community.
Thank you so much, Roman. I don't know what happened to my ring light right as you started speaking. It started flickering. Oh, there you go. So sorry about that. If it's not a horror movie, it's just my bad light. The Creators Club, yes, I did have a lot of support in setting that up, and I'm ever so grateful for it. I did not have any clones while I was setting it up, so
Okay.
that part might actually be a a rumor, but I did, yes, have indeed a lot of help, and it all came from LinkedIn, all of it.
So all the support, all the inspiration for the community all came from LinkedIn.
Not the inspiration so much, but the support before I set it up was mainly from LinkedIn, because it is a product that is around LinkedIn. So it is a lot of the help came from LinkedIn, but the main point that I want to talk about here is that I actually had a plan at the start. Again, I'm just diving straight into details, but I think this is a point that everyone should really know is I actually had a plan at the start to do a lot of affiliate marketing when it came to launching the actual community. And so I had lists of people who I knew would sign up as affiliates with me or, collaborate. But then I just, an idea came to my mind, and it was, it's not entitlement per se, but I sort of thought, okay, well, I have given out a course, and so I also sometimes do things without caring for money. So I'm pretty sure that there will be people who would be willing to support without asking for like affiliate fees and everything. And it wasn't so much fees that I was worried about. It was the setup of how to actually have a system where you can sign up affiliates and all of that. But so I thought, okay, why not just go out to the community and, speak to a few good friends, including yourself, and ask them if you could maybe post about it. And it turned out I had more people agree to post and talk about it than people I could actually reply back to. So because every person, for example, if you're going to post about it, you need the details, and, we need to talk about it so you can talk about it in like as the next person. But I could only talk to like 15-20 people in the time that I had. I couldn't talk to more people, but I had actually messaged more people asking, look, would you be interested in helping me promote this? And except for two people, I still remember who those two people are, and I have no hard feelings against them, but just as statistics, except for two people, everyone else decided that they would post, or they would just help me, which means they would sacrifice their attention time to promote a friend. And I think that's something that you can only find on LinkedIn. You can't really find that in any other place, because I don't think people do things like that on Facebook or Instagram, where everything is so heavily monetized at the moment. Whereas on LinkedIn, you can still be a nice person. So the first thing I wanted to share with everyone is, if you're thinking about setting up a community, ask your community to help you set it up, because there's nothing better, or no one knows how to actually do it better than the community itself.
I gotta be honest, I just need an excuse to use my badass banner where I'm together with Pinky and Pedro wearing my sunglasses.
Yeah. You were actually, I think you were the first 2-3 people that posted. I think you were right there with them.
I genuinely didn't have too much of a content schedule, so I'm always happy to promote and help a friend. And Chris here is saying, spill the beans on
Yeah.
who those two
Oh,
people were.
Chris. So Chris is another one of the awesome people who decided to help me. Chris had like twice the amount of followers I did. So it's not, again, we think all the time that I mean, he still probably has 2-3 times more than me, but you always we think that you can't reach out to these big people and they're not going to listen to me. But the fact of the matter is that there's just normal people that also want to help other people. And so you do get a lot of value if you set up a community. And I don't mean like a paid community. I mean an actual build an actual community where people support you. I think that's priceless. Also, yes, Dr. Seher, you can still be a nice person on LinkedIn. I know, which is kind of going out of fashion on other platforms, but it's still working on LinkedIn, I guess.
Perfect. So lesson number one, when you want to promote your community, just reach out to your community and ask them. They're more than willing to help you do that. Now, for the context, maybe there are some people who are not too familiar with what LinkedIn Creators Club is. Can you briefly tell us what is it, who is it for, why did you start it in the first place?
So LinkedIn Creators Club is a club where I basically want to share my learnings and learn alongside with the group on how we can become better creators. And obviously at the moment we're only looking at LinkedIn because that's what I've started with, but plans are to try to diversify it and try to learn more about other platforms as well. But it is a community by creators for creators so that we can become better creators.
Love that. Love that. And I'm part of it and I'm learning daily. I think your what do you call it? Master classes or content clinics, they have been
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
helpful. The whole
yeah,
carousel hacks alone, and my carousels
yeah.
have become better.
Yeah, so I will share the things. I will share the dark side of it too today. And I just want to let
Yes.
people know because it's not uh, anytime you do something, you want to look at the positives and the negatives of it. And so by negative, I don't mean negative in the sense that you shouldn't do it, but negative in the sense that there's things that you will not know until you do it. And so I will share both sides of it because you might have seen the good side of it. And by good, I mean the positives and the benefits. But what I want to try and do today is I want to share with you and everyone else the machinery that goes behind trying to do that good, and how as a founder, it's very hard to actually deliver a product that people will like. And so I'm in the process of learning that as well. But I wanted to share that with you and your people as well, because I think if we know the journey ahead before we start, then we can prepare ourselves better.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of the series, to share as much as we can from different communities, so people who do
Yeah.
decide to start their own can learn from it and hopefully avoid the mistakes. Now, the first question is, when you had the idea, I got to start a community, what was the first thing you needed to do and you actually did?
So I did make a basic list of sort of like an execution plan where I was like, okay, this is something that I can do. This is how I would like to do it. I actually really didn't want to do a community. What I wanted to do was I wanted to find people who I can nerd out with, because it was just becoming too hard to do it on DMs. And it's better if it's organized in a way where you can actually try and share the things that you're so passionate about. So the first thing I did, and well, I didn't do it as formally, but I would recommend this to anyone that's trying to do it, is to find out, look, why do you want the community, or why do you want to even start a community? And so at the same time, I've had other friends who've started communities as well, who have also shut down communities in the same time. And so I'm learning from their mistakes as well. And one of the mistakes that I think a lot of people make is that they think that they want to start a community because they saw some post on LinkedIn, and this person was saying, look, all you got to do is get 50 members, and 50 members pay $100, and it's $5,000. And they make people look at the money, and then they don't make the money makes them want to start the thing. So I at that time figured out, okay, well, I was never in it to try and make the money for it. I wanted the community or the friends. It's more so I wanted more friends to nerd out with. And so I would ask anyone else as well to please just ask yourself, like, why do you want to start the community? And then once you've got that part, then you go into, you know, sort of like market research. So you go into step 2, and step 2 would be, do others want this as well? Because again, if you want a group of people around you, it's not only about you. It's actually not about you at all. It's about them. And so you have to then, once you find something that you're inwardly passionate about, you should go out before you build something and learn, you know, do others really want something like this? And so that was an easy answer for me, because I already had hundreds of people asking me for help. I had already launched the free course, which by that time I think had like 5,500 people that had enrolled in it and you know, shown interest. So there were already 5,000 people learning from me, and so I knew, okay, well, there's a market for people who want to, you know, talk about this. So that part was fairly easy for me. But then starts the hard part, and I can walk you through it. But if you have any questions, feel free to stop me in the middle. I'm also looking with one eye at the comments, and so I'm reading everyone's comments as well. Thank you, Dr. Seher. I always appreciate you. And thanks, Chris. Yeah, the unforeseens. Yes, I should connect with others. I completely agree with that.
That's the whole networking on LinkedIn that has been for me,
Yeah.
connect with others, learn, grow together. And actually, I wanted to add to your point, you know, when you see people that start the communities and they see money as the first thing, as the main reason why they want to start it. I had a comment on my yesterday's post, I think, and the post was actually about asking the questions before you start a community, as in what are the values you want to have, what kind of value you want to bring. Do you like cold outreach more, maybe? Because I hate cold outreach. And one person commented, well, what about money? Because money was not one of those 5 questions. And I said, well, if you don't focus on the money and you try to bring the actual impact and there is a need for it and try to bring value, money is going to be the natural byproduct. So you shouldn't have it as the main thing, because that's not about money. Community is all about you helping the people that have been reaching out to you.
Yeah. So I actually I'm not really gonna disagree with you on that. I'm gonna agree with you on that, but I have a different frame of looking at it. I look at it in the way that, because everyone says, look, when you don't worry about money, then money will come. But the problem is, at the base of it, we all have to, and we all do worry about money. And so the way I look at it is, then what is the best way to get that money? And so the best way to get that money is to provide the value. And so the entire focus, it's basically the same conclusion, but if you reverse engineer it, thinking, okay, well, I genuinely do want to make money. So, well, you should genuinely provide value, because that's the only way to do it. But if you skip that part, and you think, okay, well, I can just, you know, 50 members and $100, and, you know, that's extra $5,000, and who doesn't want that? But if you think like that, it won't work. But it's okay to think that, you know, well, I'm doing this because I also want a monetary benefit from it. And I think a lot of people try to like discount it too much, but it's okay, man. Like, we all out here to make some money. And I think if you can provide value and make money while doing it, that's what a good business is. It's the definition of a good business. So there's nothing wrong with that, for sure.
That's a good reframe. And I think I will go with this one. And the next question I have is directly related to what we just discussed. And that is, one of the first things that you need to figure out before setting up a community is values and the goals of it. So how do you outline it? How do you figure it out? How did you do it for your community?
Yeah. So with me, it was very simple. And the reason it was simple was because I know when I do something, 99% of the time, I do it in a very selfish way. So for me to set any value, I figured out, okay, what is the value that I want at the moment? What is something I care about? And anytime I would ask myself that in my actions, in my talking with myself, the only value that kept coming up is I want to learn how to become a better creator. So I actually started off with a very selfish value. And I figured out, okay, this is what I want to do. Then I went out and I started discovering, okay, well, do other people have similar values? Because at the end of the day, a community is just a bunch of people with similar values. And so, like I said, that research was super easy. I figured it out, but I wouldn't encourage people to sit down and try to go through some 5-step process of trying to figure out what values would be good for this community. Because if you need to lead a community, the only values that you can lead it with will be your personal values. I can craft, for example, a value statement for example, the Creators Club, and say, this is to make people feel better, But the problem is, that's not what I want to do. I really don't care about trying to make people feel better, because most of the feedback I give actually makes them feel worse. But
Yes,
and
sometimes.
then eventually better. Yeah, exactly. That's why every time I've given you, for example, feedback, I actually have to say, this is going to be brutal, and you take
And
it
I
amazingly.
appreciate it. I think that's the type of feedback that personally appreciate, and that's a lot of type of feedback that people should appreciate more as well. Because I even noticed by myself, sometimes I might be sugarcoating things, and it just doesn't help.
Yeah, absolutely. So exactly how Chris is saying it, he says, look, it needs to be a reflection of your authentic self. And of course it does, because if it isn't, then number one, people understand that. And number two, no one in the history of planet Earth has been able to lead something effectively when they don't believe in it themselves. It always falls apart. So the best way to keep something together, the glue of it, has to be your belief. So the only value that you can start a community with is a value you hold dearly. You cannot write a statement and say, these are the values of my community. And I think a lot of people make that mistake, because again, popular teachings tell us, oh, you need, a set manifesto and a value statement, but you don't really need that. So that's the value part. You want me to go into, because I can keep talking about the steps.
Well,
So I can go to the next
before you
steps.
continue, one of the reasons why I wanted to ask that is because I've seen people who barely have been on the platform, and we're in this context talking about LinkedIn. They have maybe under 100 followers, or they never posted. They have some kind of following, but they never posted. And I talk to them, and they're like, I want to start a community. They're at the
Yeah.
very beginning. So to me, then it feels like there is a disconnect, because what you're saying is you need to lead community with your own values. But in my experience, people who are at the very beginning, quite often they don't know their own values. So how will you go about it? Doesn't mean that you shouldn't start a community.
So again, it comes back to, why do you want to start? The question is a bit confusing for me, and the reason it's confusing, I understand the question, but the frame is confusing for me, because I look at it in the other way. So the way I look at it is, I didn't start a community because I wanted to. I started a community because I had to, and I'll tell you why I had to. I had to because my DMs were exploding with people asking me, look, can you please help me with this?
You had the
I
direct
had to.
need for it.
Exactly. I had to, because I was lonely looking for friends to talk about with this. I had to, because I had 5,000 people learning from me in the course, who wanted now to, like, every day would send me emails. Obviously not all 5,000, but I would get emails every day saying, look, can you help me with this part of it? Can you help me with that part of it? And then obviously, if I need to spend my time, I need to find a way where I can make it sustainable. And so I looked at how I could do it in a way that would help a lot of people. And the only way that the organic answer that came out was, okay, we'll start a community, charge the lowest possible price for it. And then there you go, because then you have, number one, a solution that can be scaled. And number two, you have, you're getting paid for some of your time as well. It's because it's not sustainable to do things for free all the time. I know, because I don't think anyone else has done more free shit on LinkedIn than I have. So
I remember when you offered LinkedIn profile audits and you had over 1,000 of them in requests.
yeah. I had so I stopped it at, I think, 816.
Mm.
That was almost almost 10 months ago. I also did I basically wrote a lot of profiles for people for free, and then I don't even remember the things. I had a list somewhere, but I don't remember at the top of my head. And then I did a whole entire course, and the first day that I published it, I was told, well, you missed out on 50K this weekend because you could have easily made 50. Like Sam Brown told me that,
Mm.
which is a very wise thing to say, but it was because I could do it. I can do it if it's not my time being spent. But if I have to spend my time, then that's obviously directly being taken from my family, and then there has to be some kind of a price to it. But so back to the question. The question was, so then should they then not start a community? So you
Yeah.
see, if you want to start a community, that's very different from you have to start a community. Because I arrived at it because there was no other option. So if you want to start a community, the first thing you should do is you should, well, if you're trying to do it on LinkedIn, you should just talk, post, build the community, see how many people in that community care about what you care about. And so it's not like if you have 100 followers and you post and there's like 2 people looking at your post, then those 2 people are your community.
Mm.
So you already have a community. You don't need to, if by start you mean monetize, then obviously there is market forces involved. You need more volume and you need other things. But if by starting a community you mean just people with similar set of beliefs, then when you post, that's what you do. So it's not only 100 followers. Even if you have 2 followers, you can start a community. Those 2 followers are your community.
That's a really good reframe. Yeah, the question was more towards the centralized communities like the one that you have. But of
Yeah,
course, then it's the question of how do you define your community? Because for the longest time, sometimes I say I don't really have a community because it's not centralized. But then I do have a community which gave itself a name, Flamingo
yeah,
Tribe, and
that's right.
it's almost 16,000 strong.
That's right. Yeah, and you'll be surprised at the things that these people would want to do for you, and that's the community.
I'm
That's
now a
that's what it
full-time
is.
freelancer. Time to find out.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right. So the next question was, what about the goals? How do you outline the goals? What was the
Mm,
purpose of your community
yeah.
besides becoming a better creator?
Yeah. So again, be selfish with your goals. Don't worry about trying to figure out a comprehensive set of goals or whatever. Look at what your own personal goals are, because those are the only things that your brain will actually pay attention to. Um, Especially if you have ADHD, because you only care about what you care about, and then you don't care about anything else. So what you have to do is you have to start in a selfish manner with the goals as well, because if you want to drive a tribe towards those goals, then look inwards. And so for me, one of them was to become a better creator. One of them was to be able to network better. One of them was to be able to learn more about how to write. So these were the main 3 or 4 goals, which, by the way, happen to be goals shared by a lot of people. And so I guess that's how you would set them. Don't go by and try to set an arbitrary set of goals. It doesn't work.
All right. A lot of alignment with what already exists, or you should already see within your pre-existing community before you centralize it. I like that because a lot of people try to come up with things out of thin air and then they struggle. And I think
Yeah.
that's same in the community building, in business, and in everything else,
Yeah.
really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our brains only pay attention to the things that we care, because there's
Yeah.
just too many things to pay attention to otherwise. So focus on those things instead of trying to do what other people are doing.
Yeah, and once you had that figured out, you had your goals, you had your values, like you have an idea of your community, how it should look like, more or less. Then the question is the tech, the software, the platforms,
Yeah.
right? So many of them. How did you go about it? How much time did you spend
Yeah.
looking through everything? And why did you
Yeah.
land on what you have now?
Okay. Awesome question. So what I would say is, if you want a proper sequence on how to be able to start a community, the first one, like you said, would be the why. You would want to start with the why. Then you would figure out the goals, which is somewhere in the how of the communication and stuff. But then I wouldn't go to tools straight away. And I'll tell you why. I would then go obviously to the market, figure out if there's a demand for it, which we have discussed. But after that, I would try and go to the pricing. And the reason pricing is important is because if you don't know the pricing, you don't know your budget for your tools. You don't know your budget for anything. If you ever try to run a business and you don't know the budget, you're going to find very quickly that it's not possible. And so everything needs a budget. And to get a budget, you need to be able to have a price in mind. And so that you can then forecast the budget, because anything you use, even if you use a $6 website, it's going to cost you $6. And, I think it's best if you budget it somewhere. Otherwise, one day you'll run out of money to pay for it. So I would then put one step in middle, call step number 3 or 4, which would be to figure out the pricing. That's a very hard part to do, because there's a lot of different pricing models that could work. And most of us, 99% of us, will project our thoughts or patterns onto our customers, especially because most of us are like, I hate the word solopreneur, but most of us are alone in business. We're creators trying to make money. And so I have a certain way that I spend money. Most of it is I do month-on-month basis. I don't buy annual memberships of anything, even like email softwares, even if it saves me money, just because stupidly I think that, that's a better way to manage my cash. So I, for example, at the start of doing this thought, well, there's not going to be many people who are going to pay annually. And, so all I care about was the monthly pricing. And I tried to make that the main piece of it. But when I actually launched it, I was surprised by how many people bought an annual membership. And so my projections of how I spend, my thoughts or my assumptions were proven completely wrong. And so when it comes to pricing, I can't tell you what you should price your community, because there's too many factors that come to it. But the
That
main
could be a separate
principle,
webinar.
absolutely. But the main principle that I can leave you with is, and this is for any type of community, is don't assume what people will pay, and don't presume that people will pay in a certain manner, because there's a lot of people out there and people like different things. So don't assume. That's absolutely what I would say. Yeah. And never
Quickly,
second guess your audience. Exactly, Chris.
yeah, love that, because what a lot of people in community growth miss out on is not talking to their community. And I think that's the best source of feedback for any kind of decision. Quickly on the whole pricing thing, when you were setting it up, did you have a certain number of members you wanted to have at the start to kind of cover your expenses, or any similar sort of mindset?
Yeah, so I did budget the cost of the setup, because I had to hire a consultant to help me out, because I just didn't have the time to be able to figure it all out by myself. So I did have a budget, and it was about $5,000. And so I was more than happy to be able to cover that, because I had already paid it to the consultant. But other than that, I really didn't care about a single dollar after that. And that was because I was happy that $5,000 would mean that I have enough people to be able to talk to. And so I never have goals of I want 200, 300, 400 members in my community. I don't have number goals. I just need a few people to talk to. And if there's more people, then it presents a better challenge for me, because now I would like to scale it and be able to help more people. But even if it's you, me, and 6 of our other friends, I'm more than happy to do it, which is, by the way, something that we already do.
Yeah.
And you know it. So again, I do it because I would do it for free too. That's my ultimate secret. Like, I would just do it anyway.
Spoken like a true Robin Hood of LinkedIn. I love that. And so once you have the pricing figured out, after many sleepless nights and brainstorming, what will be the next step? Is it tools, or is there something else in between?
Yeah. So, okay. Now that you have the pricing figured out, now you can come to tools. Absolutely. And more than tools, I would use the word people. And I would use that word because there's this whole internet talk about there's a tool out there for everything. I could literally give you a tool for every single thing that you could do online.
Especially with
And
AI breaking in.
there you go. Yeah, now I don't even write my emails anymore. I've got ChatGPT writing my shit. So we like, basically there's a tool for everything, but it's not the tool that actually, builds the thing. It's the people.
Mm.
And when you're building the community, it's always a good idea to bring in a few people to get you to help you build that. There's one obvious reason for it. The obvious reason is you haven't built a community before, and so it would be best if you can talk to someone that has. It would be best if you can get someone's help to be able to help you set it up. So tools is not a problem. I can write you a list of 6 tools, and there might be more than enough for you, and maybe you need 8 or 10 tools. I'm sure you could give me a list of 50 tools, but it's not the tool that makes or breaks the community, it's the people. So don't worry about the tool. Get a person who knows how to set things up to help you out, which is what I did.
Did you have any beta testers to give your community an early go, kind of get a feel of Thinkific platform and just how the whole workflow works as well?
So that's something that I'm notoriously bad at. I don't test things properly before I launch them. I'm just super bad at it. So what I ended up doing, and also because the setting of the community was kind of things, when you start building something, you realize, any business, you realize there's so many more things to do than what I thought that I had to do. And so they always tend to get pushed all the way till the end. So I didn't have a batch test, which is, by the way, a great idea to do it. But I did have, obviously, 3 or 4 friends of mine test it out. I tested it out. I had my wife test it out. And we tested out, the entire flow of things, the sequence of things. And so, yeah, I did, but I didn't actually do like a batched test, just more of like just personal testing.
All right. Because I feel like once you give other people a go, or whether it's beta
Yeah,
testing or giving into your partner, that's how you tap into the whole people part and not tools, because you
yeah,
get direct feedback from them, and also whether it feels right, because some communities can be with very clunky onboarding, or they
yeah,
choose a platform that has a very
yeah,
crappy interface. I'm in the
yeah,
community now that's thankfully going through the transition. All of the recordings are in the Facebook group, and I hate Facebook. So
yeah,
now they're moving everything into Circle, thankfully. But
yeah,
otherwise, that's kind of the part of the user experience that you need to keep in mind, right?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't punish yourself too hard if you get it wrong. It's your first time. It's okay. You can always improve it. You can always look, you could do a community, and you could have no one but 5 of your friends join.
Hmm.
And in 6 months to 1 year, you could have 50, 500 other people. So again, don't worry about don't be too hard on yourself if you messed up something. Like, for example, I can tell you 15 things. Again, this is the dark side that I wanted to share with you. I can tell you 15 things that I've done wrong with the Creators Club. And obviously you can't, because then club members also, while they're friends, are also customers, because when someone gives you money, it becomes a different relationship. They don't see the entire process behind it, but there is a lot of process. For example, when I first launched, I in my mind had a completely worked out launching sequence, and I was like, okay, well, people will come in this way, and then they will get an email, and that's how they will be able to sign in, and then they can go to Thinkific, and then they can go to Slack, and then that's everything's there. But like, the only thing you can expect is that you're going to run into a lot of unexpected problems. So the first problem that I ran into was that about 60% of my emails, because I had bought the domain 2 days before I launched,
Hmm.
60% of my emails went to junk welcome emails, because people, I had their email addresses, but that doesn't ensure deliverability, because I had no
Yeah.
idea about email marketing. And so I know you know a lot about it, exactly. So I can see you
Um,
nodding.
I don't know too much, but I know that domain is the biggest headache. I still
Yeah,
struggle with it when it comes to my newsletter. So
yeah,
yes, let's not do it. I'm gonna get agitated as fuck.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. Again, that's where you get a professional to help you out. I
Hmm.
didn't at the start because I thought, well, I didn't even know what I didn't know. Like Chris said, the unforeseen. So um, now I had hundreds of members, and 60% of them didn't get an email. They got an email, but it's in their junk, which, by the
Mhm.
way, who the hell checks their junk? Like
Nobody.
yeah, I don't want to see, African princes offering me money or, ads for Viagra or anything. I don't care about that. So no one checks their junk. And now I had a problem because day two, I'm like, well, there's only like 100 people in Slack, but there's like hundreds of people paying for this. So
Hmm.
why are they not joining? And I was like, for a couple of days, I thought, well, maybe just because people are lazy, because that's how I am sometimes.
Hmm.
But it turns out that no, it's not because of that. It's because the emails hadn't been delivered, or they went to junk, and then so I had to literally message people manually, hundreds of people saying,
Oof.
"Oh, I'm sorry, this is your access, this is where you go in, and this is a." Now the email had an entire sequence telling you what to do, but manually that's a very hard thing. So then I had to basically, send all those details. So you're gonna make mistakes. The point is, if you have to go fast enough that you fudge up a few things, because if you don't, then you're going too slow.
I think we need to start tapping into the whole dark part of things because we have around 20 minutes left, unless we want to do
Yeah,
overtime. Before we do,
yeah,
I would like to
yeah.
actually answer the Q&A questions. Dr.
Yes.
Seher is asking, when is the right time to start your community?
Yeah. So again, the when you post, when you realize you have something to say, whether you like it or not, you're starting a community. That's what you're doing. So for example, I know Roman, you, for example, don't have like a paid community, but
Yeah.
you have a massive community of people that are there to help and share your goals and values, and talk about Pinky and whatnot. So basically, yeah, exactly. So basically, you start a community. The right time is when you have something to share with people. That's when you start it.
Hmm.
When do you monetize it? That's a completely different question.
All right, then I would suggest, Dr. Sahir, maybe reframe your question because otherwise, generally speaking, that was a good answer. Then Julius had another question. What is the best way to promote your community before launch and afterward? That's first part of the question. And another one, what will be your thoughts about promoting your community after running it for some time? And you already partially answered it at the beginning with the whole tap into marketers, your community members.
Yeah. So to launch before, I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself, and again, this was one of the best things that I did for myself, is to give yourself plenty of time to market it. Again, I didn't have too much time to build it, but I had plenty of time to market it. So I had an MVP sorted, and I started marketing it. I think I started marketing maybe on the 13th or 14th of December, and that was
Yeah.
and the reason the launch date was the 1st of January. And the reason I started marketing it on the 10th or 12th, sorry, the 12th or 13th of December was because I knew as soon as the 21st of December is going to cross, people are going to go on holidays. No one's going to care about what anyone's saying on LinkedIn. No one is in purchasing mode at that time. So I had about a week of marketing it before Christmas time came, and then another week after that, or 4 or 5 days after that, before launching. So the first thing I would tell you is to give yourself plenty of time. The second thing I would tell you is get your friends on board. That's the most important thing. If you can't even get your friends on board, then how are you going to get other people on board? So
Mm.
those two things helped me massively. I won't name this person. We all know this person, but I will drop. I will drop. Um, I will drop some figures here. One post from a friend of mine I think in that one night made me $6,000. I didn't even post. And this is what happened after that. So it made me $6,000 in one night. I didn't even post. It was actually, I think it was the day after Christmas, or it was a day before Christmas or something. Yeah, one day before Christmas, I think.
Mm.
I think it was the 24th, and that he posted. The next day, or 1 or 2 days after that, this guy went viral. Okay. And when so what happens when someone goes viral is that people click on your profile visits
Mhm.
go up, and what they do is they come and look at your past posts. And so the second post, the third post I think the second post was about the club. And so the day he went viral, I made another $5,000. And so the reason I'm sharing those numbers is because your friend, I paid him $0, like zero. I still feel guilty to this day. I actually haven't told him as well.
Oh,
So if he ever, if he ever listens to this, and I just felt so guilty about it. I don't know what to do. But the point of sharing this is your friends and people in your community, not the paid, but like your actual community, your entire community, are your biggest marketing tool as well. And so utilize them. That's why, like, for example, I know you talk to hundreds of people like every 3-4 months. I don't even know how the hell you do it.
yeah, yeah,
if
I
if
do.
you there you go. I know you do, because I look at all these people and I'm like, how the hell does he do this with a job? And then I know for a fact that if you want to start a community, I will make a post about it. I'll post it for you. And then that could help you get a lot in sales, even more so than, for example, your own efforts. Sometimes I don't mean that, like, I'm not trying to
Yeah,
compare or anything. That's not what
yeah,
I'm
of
not
course.
trying to, like, yeah. But I mean, like, that's what happened with me. And so I didn't do a single post, maybe except actually the first time I announced it, that did very well. The first post took the community into like 10,000 plus in recurring revenue. But after that, every post was a bit slower, even though I did have a good posting plan. So ask your friends, because that's the best thing you can do. And you're prime for it. Just by the way, just some advice other than the webinar. I'm telling you, if you can get 50 of those friends of yours to post, um,
I'm pretty
think
sure
you're going to
if
be
I
rich.
nail, I'm pretty sure if I nail all the steps that we just discussed, the Flamingo Cult is going to be a very well monetized platform. But this is not my
Absolutely.
goal
Yeah.
for now. For now, I want to
Yeah.
spread the
Yeah.
word with free value, like yourself.
Ma-
And Julius had a second part to his question, and that is, what about promotion after the launch, or
yeah.
especially after the community has been active for some time? Would you approach it
Yeah.
differently?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The detailed answer of that you will be seeing very soon, because I actually have a whole plan that I'm building, of how to market it.
I saw some
I haven't
teasers within
marked.
community.
Yeah, I have at the moment not marketed it at all after I've launched. And the reason for that is because I'm actually I can't handle the volume in there already. So I need to scale my systems. I need to be able to serve people in a better way before I invite anyone else in. So I actually haven't posted. The only thing that I did was I made a LinkedIn company page, and I think it has like 5,000 followers now. And I've never posted from the company page. It's just reposts of other people's posts. So I do have an entire strategy around how to do that. But without going into more, like, a lot of detail, the strategy revolves around showing people outside a glimpse of what's inside. But it needs to be a glimpse and not an entire, view. And so if you can show the people inside are benefiting, and by the way, that's also very important for the people inside. So you have to show the people that are inside how other people inside are benefiting. And you have to show the people outside how other people inside are benefiting. So if you can do that, then you don't need any further marketing, because anyone that can relate to that benefit will just join.
Yeah, then I think the word of mouth starts working really well, because you
Yeah.
already have a burning
Yeah.
hot value, and everyone sees it inside and outside, whoever's looking at your community.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
I hope this answers your questions, Julius. We don't have any more questions in the Q&A for now. Please keep them coming. What I do want to talk about is the dark side of it. What was the most difficult part of setting up your community? What will you do differently? There's probably a million and one things. So please share anything and everything you can.
Yeah, so the self-fulfilling prophecy, love it. Yeah,
Mm,
exactly, Chris. Yeah. So the dark side, okay. I think it will obviously vary for every single person what they will struggle with. But as an overall principle, you need to realize that if you start any type of community, while you are going to love a lot of aspects of it, you're going to also struggle with a lot of aspects of it. For example, for me, that aspect, and I already shared a bit about it, was the email part. I
mm,
couldn't figure that out for the life of me, and I didn't know how to make it. Every person that I went to had a different opinion, and someone said it has something to do with the certificates of your domain, and then someone said it has something to do with something else. And so, that's one part of it. It can also take a toll on you to just be available at a scale that's just big. Like it's not even if you like doing something, you can do too much of it. And so another thing I did was I didn't market this, but I had people asking me to help them with LinkedIn. And so what I did was, within the club, and you don't even know this, so I'm telling you this for the first time.
tell me.
within the club within the club there is another club. um, so
I feel like
yeah.
I'm missing out already. Okay.
And so that is what I call the VIP club, which, by the way, is 10 times the price of the membership.
Mm,
But I don't advertise it. I had people asking me for help who wanted me to help them in a more interactive, in a more involved way. And so I opened up 10 spots, and I decided, okay, well, what I should do is I should just tell them, if you want, you can buy this VIP membership and I can help you in a more interactive way. I can,
mm,
review a couple of your posts in a different manner. I can give you detailed feedback, stuff like that. And so I ended up with 10 people, and I realized as soon as I started doing that in week 3 or week two mainly, that this is too much.
mm.
And I,
And that's already given the fact that you have some help
yeah.
within the community. You have two community
Oh
managers.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's including the fact that I already had two community managers, not one. I ended up hiring twice the number that I advertised. Um, there's actually more people behind the scenes.
Oof.
So yeah, but those are the two people that are there. So I did that, and I realized this is too much. And it was, even though I liked doing it, there's just a certain amount. Exactly, said 10 clients is a
Mm,
lot to manage on its own. And so these were 10 people who I had to have pretty much daily interactions with.
mm,
So come February, I sacked 80% of them. I left. I've got 2 more people now, so I've got like 3 people that I'm looking after doing this now. But I literally told them I can't do this, and so that is that overcommitting and then pulling back. And they were like, a few of them were like, "Do you want more money? Is it money?" And like, it's not. I'll do it, but then like, it was
it's the
so annoying.
time.
Yeah, but it's not the time thing. It's obviously, like I said at the start, I'm very open about the fact that I also obviously want to monetize things. We all got
Mm,
bills to pay. I'm not a rich person. And so I was like, well, when someone goes and they say, you know what, we'll pay you this much money, you start thinking about it. Well, oh, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So that brought me into kind of like a zone where I was like, I visibly saw that the effort that I was putting into my own creative stuff actually went down, because again,
mm.
it's like, it's the start of burnout and stuff, and that's not
The
nice.
early signs were there already.
That's right. Yeah, the early signs and everything. And so I decided, okay, well, I need to sack all of you, or most of you, at least the ones that I really enjoy with, I will work with. And so I have about three, I think three. I have three people that I work with in that secret thing now, and everyone else, I just told them, well, I'm sorry, I can't do it, or this is not going to work. And it was it was sort of like something I really don't like doing, because I hate letting people down.
Mm.
And so you will obviously let people down. That's one part when it comes to the dark side. Another part is that there will be people that just want to come and have a look because they're trying to, copy it, or they're just trying to sabotage it, or they're trying to make it, because there are people out there that do end up becoming, like your haters can buy and come in too. Like you can't really vet people when it's a community.
Are
And
there actually some people who are like trolls or haters within LinkedIn Creators Club?
so I I have an active spreadsheet.
Mm.
And on that spreadsheet, I have just recently, because we had to do a lot of investigation to find out some behaviors that shouldn't have been there. So, for example,
Mhm.
when your community is at a certain scale, there's going to be things in there you can't control, like
Mhm.
an inappropriate message, or someone that's just coming into literally cold outreach to everyone saying, oh, I've got this, you want to buy this, or I want to do this. Now these are all things that like club members, regular members, don't have any idea about.
No one really
um
talks about it either. I
no, of
haven't
course,
seen
of course.
anyone in community building sphere or any community founders ever talk
Yeah,
about how that can spread within their
yeah,
communities too.
yeah, absolutely. So any healthy organization also has bacteria that could
Mm.
be unhealthy, and it's the same with any community as well. So just recently, we have literally gotten rid of around 30 people.
Wow.
Yeah, because I sat down and we realized these are not the people we want here. And the community itself is going through a bit of a change. You would have seen a couple of changes just yesterday as well.
Mm.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday. So a community is obviously, like any organism, is an evolving thing. You need to make sure that you keep the garbage out, and you keep bringing good people in, and keep helping them, and you keep serving them, and you keep evolving into what they're asking. So the second dark thing that I wanted to talk about was this, that you're going to get a lot of viruses, especially if you want to build something at scale. It's okay, like you don't have this problem if you're doing like course sales or something, but in a community that can be distasteful and it can
Mm.
cause problems. So yeah, that's that. And yeah,
Interesting.
it's a couple
That
couple
that
couple of people
that
that tried hacking me as well.
really.
Yeah.
What kind of hacking did they try to hack? Like your
Yeah,
computer, your
yeah.
accounts?
So I had a person, because I had that problem with emails, I had a person that basically asked me to like said that they can help with the emails,
Mm.
and then asked me to give them access to it, which I trust people, man. I don't know why, but
You trust
so I
until you
just,
stop
yeah, that's
trusting.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that. So I actually gave him access to my stuff, and he canceled his membership, and he wouldn't reply to my messages. And I was like, bro, is this guy gonna hack me or something? And then he's trying to change basic passwords and stuff, and so I just had to delete this person off of everything.
Mm.
And I had to actually message Active Campaign support and tell them this guy's trying to freaking hack me. He's not talking to me, but he's taken
Mhm.
over, like not taken over, but he has access to my account that has 7,000 plus contacts. And so
Mm.
stuff like that is going to happen, and you should be ready with that. And gee, even Dr. Sarah is saying, I have a very basic website and someone tried to hack. All kinds of people out there, and you're a doctor, so people should like you.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm like a creator, which is like doctors over there when it comes to value, and then creators over there. And so people just think, oh yeah, you should really go and attack these people because, again, haters and viruses and problems like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And everything we've discussed today, one thing that it really affects is expectations. I think, again, what we mentioned earlier, a lot of people might look at a LinkedIn post that says, I have earned like 50K, having 10 or like 100 members. It's easy. And all you think about is money. But then the amount of work you need to put into it before you set it up, even more work you need to put in after the launch, when it starts growing, all the problems that you might encounter on the way. Are you mentally ready to deal with trolls trying to get in? Are you ready to potentially experience burnout or spend a shit more money on all the support, community managers, consultants that you will really need help from to deal with those problems? And all of a sudden, out of 100 people, only one will be willing to go all ape shit. One thing I even yesterday noticed on Luke Matthews's LinkedIn Live, there were people that were posting phishing links to join their Zoom event. It wasn't
There you
even
go.
and it was just
Exactly.
LinkedIn Live, a public thing. So yeah, all kinds of people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And now that you've mentioned Luke, I actually want to mention him and say he was not number one in terms of monetary help. That was someone else, but he was literally one of my number one supports in doing this. So big shout out to him,
Luke
and
is
I
amazing.
hope he comes back from ghost mode. Yeah, exactly, Chris. Binfluencers is what I would call them. So these are the people that would tell you, oh, do this, and I'll name it because I really don't give a fuck. So for example, people like Justin Welch will post and tell you $1 million business is just 30 people paying you $40 a day. And to acquire them, you just have to make and they'll show you the arithmetic of it, the math, which is absolutely correct. The math is true, but the math doesn't tell you the headaches that you're going to go through, which is something that honest people like Roman and like hopefully me, I try telling people more of and say, look, it's not just, the math works. And so people get so seduced by the math and think that this is it. And like, what are you going to do if you have $100,000 in your bank account that you made because you launched a product, but now you are mentally fucked? What are you going to do? You're going to do nothing. You're going
What
to
will be
wish you
the
didn't have
cost?
that money.
What will be the cost of acquiring that?
Exactly. Now, the smart fluffluencers and binfluencers, what they do is they also then say that, oh no, I only do this at 2 hours a day. I only work an hour a day. All the rest of the time is me hanging out with my wife. And I can promise you right now, Justin Welch himself cannot build a Justin Welch business by working how Justin Welch says he should work. Sure, he might be working 2 hours now. I'm not going to call him a liar, but the shit that he's saying at the moment is only to seduce your ass. You can't actually build his business. Justin Welch could not build Justin Welch's business by working how Justin Welch says. And so that's just the basic facts of it. And I could talk about that for ages, but I'll just stop now.
Like, honestly, we need to do an entire series of the dark side of community building, creator economy, and the whole entrepreneurship, because I think you're one of the people that is openly sharing all the dark shit. Because honestly, first of all, what I like about it is when you share all the dark side, all your mistakes, that's the best source of learning, right? I'm here ready to bust through the door, start community, sign up for Thinkific, promote the fuck out of it. But then you tell me there might be trolls, and then I might get hacked, and I will have a lot of money, but I will have to spend like literally 24/7 sleepless nights. How many creators spend months on Red Bull trying to get their shit together, ruining their health until they come back, make a post about it as well. Like, I've ruined it for 6 months now, I'm back to it. I mean, there are a lot of things that we just don't talk about enough. And it's been a pleasure. I think there are no questions for now. It's been an hour. Everyone, I hope you've been enjoying the session.
Yeah, and before you close it, I just want to, there's a couple of people, Beatrice and obviously Chris as well. Chris, you can have me on anytime and I'll spill all the beans, mate. You know how it is. So anytime you want, or even you, Roman, it doesn't matter. And thank you. Thank you for the comment, Beatrice. I miss your posts. I actually don't miss your posts. I've been seeing your posts. So yeah. I've been engaging with your posts. Out of no one, I've been engaging with your posts. I'm not even engaging with most of Roman's posts. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Well, Tas is going to be back very soon at full power whenever he is ready.
Yeah.
We are ready for you to come back. We miss you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has attended this awesome event. I will be sharing the recording to tomorrow. And if there are any relevant links, Tas, that you want for the community, if you have a newsletter, everyone also, while you're here, if you have any requests, you can reach out to me and Tas any resources that you might want to learn from. I will make sure to include it in tomorrow's email. Until then, sign up for the last one webinar. Unfortunately, I had to cancel the webinar with Joe Glover because I postponed see, that's not the dark part of the whole thing. I had
Let's
to
go.
I had a surgery. I did not expect 2 weeks of recovery. My face was swollen. Now I look more symmetrical and more
You
handsome.
look beautiful now, man.
Thank you, thank you. But because of that, the schedule of mine and Joe's started colliding. He couldn't attend, so he's going to be in season 2. And I have another speaker brewing up, an ongoing discussion. So I'm going to have someone next week, John Esperian. We're going to be talking about how to keep your community organized. And on the last webinar of this season, March 23rd, there's going to be someone really, really interesting. So keep your eyes peeled, sign up, check the recordings as well. I will be sharing all the relevant links in tomorrow's email. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tas. You've been awesome.
Thank you so much, Roman. Thank you for having me with all these amazing people, both today in the chats and as a guest with all the other ones. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Now I hope recording is not get fucked when only I'm shown, or you can be shown only. That's okay.
No, it's still being recorded. It's
well,
still
I'm going to
recording.
stop it now. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to stop now.